Hello everyone. I welcome you once again to my new lecture. The supply curve is the topic of my today's lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to define the term supply, explain the law of supply, and will show you how to draw a supply curve from the given information. And definitely we'll distinguish between the movement along the supply curve and shift in the supply curve, because these two are very important things to learn from this chapter. So at first, one more thing, definitely I will also explain if the amount of goods and services are fixed, in that case, what would be the shape of the supply curve? That also I'll show you. So at first I will define the different terms, then I'll show the graphical presentation so that it will help, so that you understand it easily, because graphical presentation is very helpful for the students to understand these things. Okay, at first, let me define the supply. Supply we can define from two views, from the view of economics and in general. Okay. In general, supply is the amount of the resources that the economic agents, different economic agents are ready to provide. This is called the supply. But in economics, the definition of supply is very, very specific. Here, it means that in economics, the amount of good that the sellers are prepared to offer for sale at any given price over a period of time is called the supply. Okay, then this is the main definition of supply, and we'll discuss some examples also to make it easy. Then we'll show the supply. We'll show how to draw the supply curve, and movement and shift also we'll show later. So let's start with from the definition of supply curve. Okay, so at first, supply. In general, supply is the amount of a resource that firms, producers, laborers, providers of financial assets, or other economic agents are willing and able to provide to the marketplace or directly to another agent in the marketplace. So this is the general definition of supply. But in economics, more specific definition we gave for supply. It means the amount of good that the sellers are prepared to offer for sale at any given price over a period of time is called supply. So therefore, the main conditions of supply are amount of specific goods or services, willingness to sell at any given price over a period of time. So these are the main four conditions of supply. To make it easy, let us consider the example. Say, for example, the market price of per kilogram chicken in Bangladesh is currently BDT 110. Halal Business Group, a local small-scale business operating at Palpara, a remote area and a village in the Lakshmipur district in Bangladesh. So they are prepared to sell 50 kg of their own brand halal chicken per day to the local community. Now, if we explain this example, we will see the conditions, all the necessary conditions for being supply are present here. For example, say amount of specific goods or service. Amount is per kg. Okay, so they are interested to sell 50 kg. So this is the amount 50 kg specific good is chicken, right? Then willingness to sell. So this business group, halal business group, they are ready to sell. So they have the willingness, and at a given price also given per kilo chicken 110 BDT over a period of time per day. So here, since all the conditions, necessary conditions of supply are present in this example, so this is the supply. That means in this example, all the main conditions of supply present, therefore the supply of chickens by halal business group is 50. Okay, now let's define the supply curve. The supply of any product can be expressed graphically. This means that the relationship between price and quantity supplied can be shown on a graph by drawing a line. So the definition of the supply curve is the line drawn on a graph which shows how much of a goods sellers are willing to supply at different prices. It's called the supply curve. So supply curve is simply the line on the graph which shows the the relationship between price and quantity supplied at the given price. So this is the supply curve. This is the supply schedule given. This is the table information provided. So here in this table is showing the relationship between price and quantity supplied. So when price of the product is $2 of any product, there is no supply because supply is 0. And if price increases to 4, supply also increases from 0 to 3. And again, if price increases from 4 to 6, supply further increases from 3 to 6. Again, if price increases 6 to 8, the supply will also increase once again from 6 to 9. So showing this relationship on the graph, we can draw a supply curve. It's the first relationship between price and quantity. So this is a combination. When price is 2, there is no supply at all. Supply is 0. So this relationship, this combination starts from here, from the vertical axis. It is starts from vertical axis means below this price, even at this price also there is no supply. So if the price of the product is too real, suppliers are not willing to sell any amount at all. So that is why here supply is 0. They will wait for increasing the supply. So if price increases to 4, then supply also increases to 3. So this combination shows the relationship between price and supply 3, 4. Here in this point again, if price increases from 4 to 6, supply also increases from 3 to 6. So the combination is 3, 6. So this is another combination, and the last combination here is for the table. If price increases further from 6 to 8, supply also increases from 6 to 9. So this is another combination. So joining these combinations at the points, so there are 4 points here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the line which joins these points is called the supply curve. So this is straight line, this is the supply curve, right? That joining the points, the relationship points between price and supply, quantity supplied is called the supply curve. So this is the supply curve here. So this is a straight line supply curve, which shows the quantity supplied at any given price. Okay, so usually the supply curve slopes up from left to right, which means that there is a proportionate relationship between price and quantity supplied. This proportionate relationship shows that when prices of goods and services go up, supply will also go up. And when prices of goods or services go down, supply will also go down. That means there is a positive relationship, proportionate relationship, a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Because as price increases, revenue of the farms also increases, so they will sell more to maximize their profit. And if price falls, so it will reduce the revenue, sales revenue, eventually the profitability of the farms, so they will produce or supply less. So this is all about the supply curve. Now turn to the law of supply. So like the demand, law of demand, there is a law of supply also. The law of supply states that all other factors being unchanged, as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity of goods or services that suppliers offer will increase, and vice versa. Means if price falls, then supply will also fall. So this is the supply law here. Ceteris paribus condition is applied. Ceteris paribus condition means other factors that affect the supply remain same. Okay. The law of supply says that as the price of an item goes up, suppliers will attempt to maximize the profits by increasing the quantity offered for sale. So this is the supply law. Now come to movement along the supply curve. As with demand, when there is a price change, there is a movement along the supply curve. Like when there is price change, there will be movement along the demand curve also. Here also same. If price changes, supply curve, there will be movement along the supply curve. But in this case, ceteris paribus condition is applied once again. Means that movement along the supply curve will only happens when there is a price change. Okay, so if there are changes in any other factor influencing supply, the effect of price change on the supply curve will be different. So this is the ceteris paribus condition. Here only price will change. Other factors that affect them, supply will remain unchanged. In this case, if price increases, supply will increase. If price decreases, supply will decrease. Let's look at this diagram. Here, vertical axis we are showing the price as usual, and horizontal axis we are showing the quantity supplied and the given price. When say for example, when price for any particular product is $2,000 US dollar, then total supply is 4 million. Okay, so this is the combination. Price is $2,000 and supply is 4 million. Okay, and here another combination, 3,000, 5, and 4,006. Let's start from here. We assume that this is our initial combination. That means when the price of the product is $3,000, the total supply is 5 million. Okay, so we are starting from here. Now, if for any reason price of the product increases from $3,000 to $4,000, it will be more profitable for the business. So they will try to sell more. In that case, supply will increase from 5 to 6, which is known as extension of supply. So movement from this point to this point is called the extension of supply, and this extension of supply happens due to the rise in the price of the product. Inversely, if price of the product falls from $3,000 to $2,000, then suppliers will also supply less, as it is less profitable for them. So they will sell less. So supply will fall from 5 million to 4 million, which is known as the contraction of the supply. So from this point to this point is called the contraction of supply, and this contraction happens due to fall in the price. All right, so this is all about the movement along the supply curve. So simply the movement along the supply curve is the expansion and contraction of supply due to change in price. All right, well, the next topic is the shift in the supply curve. All right, movement to the left or right of entire supply curve when there is any change in the conditions of supply except price is known as movement along the supply curve. That means for shift in supply curve, current market price of the product remains same, but any other factors that influence and then the supply will change. These factors are known as non-price factors. Okay, due to the change of those non-price factors, assuming that price is fixed, then what will happen to the supply curve that we shown in this diagram. See, this is our supply diagram. Here we are showing the price of the product. Here our example product is beef. So this is showing the price of beef, and this is showing the quantity supplied of beef by the suppliers. We assume that here price of beef is P1. At this price, total supply of beef is Q1. Now, here we assume price is fixed, but there are changes in any other factors which affect the supply. Okay, if those factor changes, then, so for example, cost of production, subsidy, indirect tax, so these are the factors. If there is change of any of these factors, then at the same price, suppliers will increase their supply. Here we assume that the cost of production falls. Okay, so if cost of production falls, then it will be more profitable for the business, because since cost of production is falling, price is same, so they can make more profit. So since farms are profit maximizer and this is rational behavior, so farms will produce more at this price. So supply will increase from supply will increase from Q1 to Q2 at the same price. So this is called the shift of supply curve, and this is known as outward shift of the supply curve. Okay, so from supply curve S1 to supply curve S2 is called the outward shift of the supply curve, and it happens due to the change in the any factor which is favorable for the business. Sorry, like here we assume that here cost of production decrease, so this is favorable for the business. Since it is favorable, so they will produce more, supply will increase. So this is the rightward shift of the supply curve due to fall in cost of production. Here price is same. Now let's move to the next topic. Okay, before starting the next topic, let's assume here that it may happen oppositely also. If say we are assuming we are here, this is our initial supply curve, and if cost of production falls, then what will happen? So if we are here, if cost of production falls, then it will shift to the right, and if we are here, if cost of production rises, then what will happen? If cost of production rises, then it will be less profitable for the farms because their profit margin will fall, so they will reduce their production. As a result, supply will fall and supply curve will shift to the left. In that case, if cost of production rises, supply curve will shift to the left, which is known as inward shift or leftward shift of the supply curve. And here That letter sheet we didn't show here. We showed only the rightward shift. So leftward shift will be opposite. If cost of production increases, here we showed cost of production decreased. So that is why there is a rightward shift of the supply curve from S1 to S2. Okay, now let's move to the last topic in this chapter, the fixed supply curve. Sometimes, in circumstances, supply of the product or service may be fixed. If this is the case, then supply curve will be vertical. In this situation, the amount of quantity supplied will be same at any price. This means that it is impossible for sellers to increase supply even when prices rise. So the usual supply curve is upward sloping. It slopes up from left to right. Okay, but there are some exceptions, and we'll see different different shape of the supply curve depending on the elasticity. So here, elasticity also related with this topic, vertical supply curve. When the supply of the product is perfectly inelastic, that means it has no impact. Price has no impact on supply at all. In that case, we call it supply is fixed. So supply curve will be vertical. So here we took one example and explained that using this diagram. So here vertical supply curve means when the quantity of a good that is available cannot change regardless the price. So here price has no impact on the supply. Supply will always remain same at any price. Okay. So one example we can take here. An example is the number of seats in a movie theater. An increase in the price will not increase the amount of seats available because there is not enough time to construct more seats. Now look at this diagram. Here we're showing the price of the ticket for the movie in the theater, and here this is total number of seats in the theater. When the price of, so total seating capacity in the theater is 500, okay, it is fixed. 500 is the seating capacity in the theater. When price of the ticket for a new released movie is 0, still the supply of seat is 500. If price increases from 10, still supply is 500. When supply increases 20, 30, 40, even 50, still the supply of the seats 500. That means when there is no sale of ticket even, then also the theater cannot reduce the seats of the seat because it is fixed. Even when price increases too much from 0 to 550, even more than 50, still the supply of total seat in the theater is same. Because it takes time to increase the theater, okay, the seating capacity of the theater. So in the short run, it is fixed. Since it is fixed, so price change will not affect the seat in the theater. So supply curve will remain same at, supply curve will remain vertical at any price. Okay, so that is called the fixed supply curve. Okay, vertical supply curve when supply is fixed. Okay, so remember this. When supply is fixed, it is normally in short term. When supply of goods or services fixed, that means it is not possible to increase the supply, even price increases, and even it is not possible to decrease the supply when price decreases. In that case, it is called the fixed supply, and for fixed supply, the supply curve will be vertical. All right, so this is all about our today's lecture. In this lecture, what we discussed at first, we defined the supply, then we showed how to draw the supply curve, then we discussed about the law of supply and the distinguished between movement along the supply curve and shift in the supply curve. Finally, we discussed about the fixed supply and we showed what would be the shape of the supply curve if supply is fixed. So this is all about today's lecture. So this is I think this will help you to understand, to learn more about the supply curve. Thank you very much for watching this video and joining with me and remaining attentive. Thank you very much once again.